What are secretive Yinlin's biggest pros and cons? That's what I'm here to tell you today. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. One of the key defining features of Yinlin that make her a competitive unit is her large damage output. Like, this woman does damage, and a whole lot of it. It's one of the main reasons as to why you'd want to pull for Yinlin. If you want a good sub DPS in your teams, then this lovely sneaky lady is certainly a sublime pick. You can't go too wrong with her since she adds so much damage to a majority of the teams that you slot her in. The amount that she deals is genuinely somewhat absurd when you consider her low field time. Not to mention how all of the juicy damage that she deals is executed in a huge AoE, so everyone's gonna face the heat when Yinlin's around. No target is left unattended. Since wuwa operates with a 3-man party system, I like to refer to characters in terms of quote-unquote slots. First slot is a DPS, with quote-unquote second slot characters being sub-DPSs or supports for your main damage-dealing unit, with the third slot being a healer or sustenance support of some variety. Yinlin, in my opinion, is a great second slot character, especially for electric units due to the specific benefits that she is able to provide to them. Do note that this is all assuming that you have String Master equipped on her. I'll delve into her weapon issues a little later, but for now, just know that an S0R1 Yinlin is able to put in some serious damage contributions to essentially any team that you slot her into. This pro is significantly less prevalent if you do not have String Master. Something else that's very nice about our wonderful saucy lady over here is that she's the best liberation buffer that we currently have in Wuthering Waves. She's uncontested at this role for sure. All you gotta do in order to proc the buff is use her outro skill. No other character buffs it as much as she does. 25% is a pretty meaty amount. Sure, Jianshin can buff Liberation a little more, but her field time is ridiculous compared to Yinlin, who can do it instantly. Who does this benefit, you may be wondering? Well, Kolcharo is a prime user of Yinlin thanks to this very fact. If you want to play this guy as a mean hypercarry machine and Sephiroth all over the place, then Yinlin's certainly a great choice in order to help you achieve your dreams. Also, let's be real right now, Virgil Roth over here is a bit lacking these days, so Yinlin is a great second team slot to bring up his TOA performance. Xiangling Yao Yao benefits from the saucy Puppet Master as well. If you're more of a hypercarry Xiangling fan as opposed to his more quick swap heavy teams, then Yinlin's the right second team slot for you. Plenty of mileage to get out of this combo for sure. Excellent if you want to see the guy blast apart enemies with the best buffs available to him right now, as opposed to sharing his team damage with others. By the way, I've only been focusing on our Resonance Liberation Deepen so far. Might I also interest you in our 20% electric damage deepen? Yep, the fun never ends with this character. So far, every electric DPS that's come out has been able to utilize Yinlin for these reasons, meaning that all future electric type damage dealer units, regardless of whether they care about their liberation or not, will be able to utilize Yinlin quite effectively. Bonus points if they do though, since then it'd make for a perfect synergy. We've already seen this happen with Xiangling Yao Yao, so unless we get a massively better electro buffer in the future, I can't see this changing anytime soon. Considering how Wuthering Waves still has so many character niches to fill, I doubt that an electro buffer is the first thing on their hit list right now, so long live the Yinlin. This really helps with her shelf life and longevity as a character, because she's guaranteed to be effective for at least another couple of months in the absolute worst case scenario. Plus, if we get more liberation based DPSs in the future, her outro skill will become even more impressive. As of now, even if those future units aren't electric types, you can ignore that in favor of the liberation buffs, plus the wild damage that an R1 Yinlin is capable of providing. Another splendid aspect about our gorgeous spy lady is that her skill ceiling is through the roof. I'll show myself out. Anyways, Wuthering Waves has some very complex mechanics and systems which allow for much more diverse rotations and such. Yinlin is a character who can take advantage of this splendid quality. For example, getting better at swap cancelling. Doing this can make your Yinlin go from a good unit to a great unit. Splendid for sure. If you're somebody that gets tired of smashing your head on the keyboard characters very easily, then Yinlin's a wonderful change of pace. You can only ever get better at playing her as time goes on. It also opens up some funky combos with her. For example, Changli Yinlin dual carry isn't exactly the easiest team to play. It's pretty difficult to execute correctly. However, it is indeed an effective team that can dish out pretty solid numbers. So if you're willing to improve upon playing her over time, you can unlock really fun playstyles such as that. You can literally only go uphill damage-wise with the more that you play her. Right, so we've ran over all of this lovely lady's positive qualities, albeit, unfortunately, she does indeed have issues which we must speak of. As while I've been singing this unit's praises quite a lot, I don't think she's that good of a pull to make. Hear me out. For starters, goodness me, it's ridiculous how much she falls off without String Master. While I understand that the excellent 5-star weapon weights in Wuthering Waves lend the limited units to being a lot more signature weapon dependent, it's especially damning in Yinlin's case Recently, Kuro's been trying to ease up on the 5-star weapon issue with new 4-stars like the Somnoir Anchor for Camellia, so but you don't feel completely pressured into getting Red Spring as an example. Then you've got the ready availability of standard 5-star weapons, which are pretty good on most DPSs. For example, no Geon weapon? No problem. Just use the standard 5-star and you'll be good to go. In Yinlin's case, not having a String Master seriously gimps so much of her value. High damage is one of her best traits, and String Master scales ridiculously with her kit. If you don't own it and aren't planning to pull for it, then you'll be disappointed with her output. Because you can swap weapons between chambers and Wuthering Waves, you can literally make the argument that String Master had a greater meta impact than Yinlin herself. That's how freaking busted this 5-star rectifier is. Now, yes, that's also kind of a good thing since it means that if you get this, you'll be covered for all future rectifier DPSs. However, it's sorta lame how much you lose without String Master on her. If you're interested in Yinlin, you want to be interested in her signature rectifier as well. The best way to put it is like this: if you're interested in Chiori, no, you're interested in C1 Chiori, because otherwise you're just not going to play her if you care about being optimal. This next comparison is really extreme, but if you're gonna play Firefly without Rom Mei, no you're just not. Unless you're fine with playing a super scuffed team, or if you want to play Anomaly without Yanagi or Bernice, what the heck are you cooking? Hopefully that kinda puts the necessity of her signature into perspective for you. Another issue is that she's pretty replaceable in plenty of the teams that she works in. Used with Jinchi? Yes, that's a good synergy for her until you realize that Jojo exists. And considering that the upcoming Beauty Carlotta is an ice character, I can easily see the silly painter's value increasing soon. Used with Changli? Play Changling Yao Yao dual carry if you want to save yourself from tearing your hair out. Used with Virgil Rov? Why are you playing Colcharo? Jokes aside, it's unironically better to just use him alongside Shangling Yao Yao. She's best in slot if you want to play the electric DPSs as hyper carries, but whoever said that hyper carry was their best in slot team setup anyway? She suits a specific playstyle, if you will. You can very easily find replacements for her within all of her best synergies. So that means that Yinlin's by no means a necessity, and I'd say that we've had enough 5-stars released at this point to form some genuine pull priorities, such as waiting for the likes of Jinchi, Camellia, and Shorekeeper banners. Consider that carefully if you're somebody who is just starting out. I don't think she's very beginner friendly due to all of this. If you have a more fleshed out roster and want to give her a go, then sure, but be wary of the fact that viable replacements are abundant for everyone. Another major issue regarding the Spicy Spy is that she's incredibly inconvenient to use. Sure, she may indeed have a high skill ceiling, but she also has a high bar to entry to accompany. If you don't play her well, then you're not gonna get as much use out of her, unfortunately. For example, if you want to make the most out of her, you gotta become a swap cancelling legend, which for plenty of folks just isn't in the cards. I understand that most Wuthering Waves players are on PC anyway, since it's a little clunky on mobile, but if you're someone who plays on their phone or iPad, then Yinlin is a bit of a difficult character for you to deal with. You'll lose a lot of value with her if you can't quick swap like a madman, not to mention how annoying it is to lose a chunk of her damage when you get freaking interrupted mid-heavy attack. It's a whole lot of effort to play a unit at their baseline level when much easier to use options are available to you. Don't underestimate how irritating swap cancelling with her is, so seriously take that into account when deciding whether you want to get her or not. And in my opinion, there's one very important thing that you gotta consider before wishing for this splendid waifu. Rinascita is coming up, power creep is coming, waifu creep is coming. Yes, Carlotta is cooler than Yinlin, those are just the facts. While the Red Lady may indeed have a lot going for her, I'd say that there's plenty enough working against her to the point where you can safely skip her banner without issues. She is not necessary for any single unit, and she will continue to not be necessary for any single unit. So why choose her when we're soon to enter one of Wuthering Waves' biggest new patch cycles? Rinascita has a lot to look forward to. Carlotta, Zani, Carlotta, Arlecchino 2, Carlotta, Ice Gun Woman, Goat Woman or whatever those horns are, Carlotta, you get the point. Kuro's trying to bait you out with Yinlin before Rinascita. Don't fall for the trap. I bet we have a ton of new mechanics to look forward to with plenty of amazing kits. It'd be a big old waste to spend your hard-earned Asterites on Yinlin's banner before even seeing what the new region has to offer. Save for the patches coming ahead if you can. Yinlin is not a necessity for any team, and you're kinda locked into getting String Master alongside her if you really want to make an impact with her in TOA, which, regardless of how good the banner rates are, will still leave you without any Asterite to spare. So So, be wary of Rinascita before pulling for Yinlin. She's on the second half, so avoid impulse pulling on day 1, because during her banner, we'll see a splendid flood of all new Rinascita news. I'm hyping myself up over here, honestly. That's just my advice, of course. If you downloaded the game for her, then by all means, you can make her work. The best way that I can describe Yinlin is that she's a good high-skill sub-DPS that can be utilized efficiently if you really want to use her. I don't think she's bad by any means. However, I don't think that she is a priority pull whatsoever. We have more specialized units for specific teams now, so you can consider her as more of a versatile all-rounder of sorts. Even so, I wouldn't pull for her right before we venture into the glorious, fantastical land of Rinascita, but those are just my personal thoughts. How about yourself? What do you think about Yinlin at the moment? Let me know down below in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Hopefully this video was able to tell you Yinlin's biggest pros and cons. This has been Juice, signing out, and the real Yinlins were the string masters that we made along the way.